Eli Barrett was a man carved from the mountains he lived in, hard, quiet, and solitary. He'd long since decided the wilderness was easier company than people. His cabin sat high on the ridge, where snow lingered longer than it should, and silence pressed down heavier than any winter storm. But Eli wasn't immune to necessity. A man still needed to eat, and he grew tired of burnt beans and charred venison. When word came from town that a widow needed work, pregnant and near desperate, he agreed to hire her. Cooking was all he wanted from her, nothing more. Clara James arrived with a weary look and a spine that refused to bend. Her belly, round with child, seemed to lead her into the room before she even spoke. She set to work at the hearth, her hands moving with quiet skill, and soon the cabin smelled of fresh bread and stew instead of smoke and bitterness. At first, Eli kept his distance. He grumbled instructions, stayed outside longer than he needed, too, and convinced himself this was just an arrangement. But Clara had a way of softening the air. She hummed while she kneaded dough. She left small touches of order, a quilt folded, a chair fixed, herbs hung to dry. Slowly, the cabin no longer felt like a cage. One night, a storm howled across the ridge. Clara, unable to sleep, sat by the fire. Eli found her there, rubbing her belly, whispering to the child within. He stood awkwardly, feeling like an intruder. But when she looked up and smiled, he saw no judgment in her eyes, only warmth. "You've got a good heart, Eli," she said gently, as though it was a truth he'd forgotten. That struck him harder than the storm outside. No one had spoken of his heart in years, not since he'd buried his own family. Over the weeks, Clara didn't just cook for him. She taught him patience as she slowed her steps, grace as she endured hardship without complaint, and tenderness he'd thought lost forever. Eli realized he hadn't hired a cook. He'd been given a teacher, and in her quiet strength, he found something he hadn't dared hope for. He found himself healing.